This episode is brought to you by the Black Cat Shadow Movie Store. Right now, our Black Friday sale is going on, now through the end of November. Get 10% off your total order. Halloween has come and gone, but evil is still among us.
Demons still exist, and sometimes they are inside of us.
What happens when you no longer have control?
Is it psychological?
Is it desperation?
Or is it possession?
These are the things that have been debated for thousands of years.
From the churches to the courtrooms.
And now, the Black Cat Shadow.
Is imagination simply contained in the mind? Or does it tap into an unseen world with messages waiting to be told? There is a place where legends cross over into our world, where strange visions and whispers beckon, and superstition takes hold. Step into the Black Cat's shadow.
Welcome back to the Black Cat Shadow. Join us as we take a closer look at the cases of the strange and unexplained from all over the world, and how they inspire some of our favorite horror movies. I'm your host, Andy, podcasting from Kansas City, Missouri.
I'm Phantom Dark Dave, coming at you from the heart of Texas.
And I'm Dakota. I'm coming at you from Olathe, Kansas. So I'm going to let Dave take the reins on this one and explain what we're kind of going over today.
It has been a long time since you've heard these three voices together, and it became the topic of possession and exorcisms to get us together. Join us as we talk about religion and spiritual practices of evicting demons and other spiritual entities from people and other areas believed to have been possessed.
I was really excited to do this idea too, because I was kind of inspired by a couple of other podcasts that I've heard recently. Over on Horror Corridor, Dustin, he did an episode a while back. I think it was pretty early on. He did an episode about exorcisms, and then the Horrorcast, they recently did an episode about exorcism and exorcist movies. So I just tell everybody to go check those out.
Yeah, I was definitely excited to get back together with you guys. It's been so long since we've actually had a three-way conversation. I think the last time we had one was when we had our From Beyond episode. Right? Or
yeah,
was it our
H.P. That wasn't me.
It was H.P. Lovecraft.
It wasn't that. It was the road trip to Wyoming, which was right after Lovecraft and right before From Beyond.
Oh, okay.
But we're here.
It's been that long.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's a good excuse for us all to get together. I think Dave made a comment, it would take an exorcism to get us all back together on one episode, and so here you go.
Yeah, it only made sense to talk about exorcisms.
We were kind of curious, everybody's heard of all the well-known exorcism movies, but I was curious, what was the first movie that about an exorcism possibly? And I don't know, in some of my research I found one movie called Il Demonio, and it's an Italian film from 1963. As directed by Brunello Rondi, and it's about the peasant Purif is desperate because the man she loves, Antonio, is promised to another woman. After being rejected by him several times, Purif throws against him an evil eye and leaves the city. And I think it goes on from there. I think that there's weird things that are happening in the city, and people kind of think that she's possessed. Oh, because that's the thing. She tries to use witchcraft to win the love of this Antonio. And there's bad things that are happening besides that. And so people associate her with the bad things because they all know that she's practicing witchcraft. And so I think there's actually possibly a scene where there's an exorcism or something like that. So that's the first one that I know of. I don't know. What about you guys? Do you guys know of anything before the 60s that deal with exorcisms?
I've only ever really known The Exorcist was the very first Exorcism movie I was ever aware of.
Yeah.
And I think that for me that was obviously the most famous one.
Yeah, I being a classic movie buff, you'd think I'd have more titles to bring to the table, but I don't think anything stands up against the Exorcist film. So for me, the 1973 film is kind of where it starts.
Yeah, so some of the most popular ones, obviously The Exorcist from 1973, starring Linda Blair, and it's definitely a classic horror movie in general. Just the atmosphere that it builds and the subject matter that it deals with, it makes it a really effective horror movie. And I'm sure you guys have plenty to say about The Exorcist. What do you think about that?
So, yeah, it was pulled from, the 1971 novel, based on a case in the 1940s, where I think they even called it The Exorcism of Roland Doe, where the Roman Catholic Church performed a series of exorcisms on an anonymous boy, documented under the name of Roland Doe or Robbie Manahan. He was 14 years old. Basically, the events were recorded by the priest, Raymond Bishop. And the thing that I can't wait to get into about this is, to this day, there still is no hardcore proof on what actually has happened. And as of 2013, an author by the name of Thomas B. Allen stated that there is no proof that he was possessed by a demonic force. Everything was, allegedly said by witnesses, but yet nobody would go on record and say anything official. So in his opinion, the child was not possessed, but in fact just deeply disturbed. And I know that Father William S. Bodern was a Catholic priest of the Society of Jesus in St. Louis, Missouri, Missouri guys, who participated in the exorcism. And he was the guy who was actually contacted by William Peter Blatty for research for the novel, which, became the Exorcist film. And there was another priest who participated with the exorcism named Walter Holleran, and he actually just passed away in 2005, and he was the last remaining priest who was involved. So they're all gone now.
Yeah, and I actually find that really interesting, the guy from St. Louis. And something about The Exorcist was the way the movie was kind of set up. It was set up almost, I think they tried to make it to be like one of those kind of quick little, we're going to get it done type movies. But I think it turned out to be one of the more real, more at the time, one of the more real type horror movies. And it really became a phenomenon for a lot of people, especially those that didn't understand like possession. So they actually went and did their own research, and eventually they found out that whatever took place in the movie, some of the things that were there obviously were over dramatized, but some of those things were real, like symptoms of actual possession, or what we would refer to as a see, I try to draw the line here between what a real possession is and what a fake possession is, like somebody who's really that disturbed. And it is hard, specifically because, working in a mental institution, you see some really weird things.
I like how you say that, like you work at one. You're like, like working at a I see this all the time.
Well, I worked at one for almost 3 years, so.
Oh, really? Man, I feel like you told me that now, but I truly blocked it out. I guess maybe I was jealous. Like, what a job.
Yeah.
Is that weird to be jealous of something like that? I don't know. Everybody's got their own niche. I always wanted to be a mortician, but I don't think I'm smart enough. But I never seen a mortician's assistant. That might be kind of cool. Like, hey, push that body over there, and I'm like, done. I don't do the operations, but just tell me what you need me to do. I can clean up.
I don't think any of my friends would make good morticians because they're kind of weird.
I mean, not to offend a mortician, but that can kind of assist in what it is, right? I mean, no straight-laced guy is like, grows up to be a mortician. But since we brought that up, somehow I'm going to segue this real quick, and we can jump around with this. But have either one of you guys seen The Rite?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a mortician who became an exorcist, right?
Right.
How cool.
Weird.
Yeah, we just totally did that.
that was a great movie. Anthony Hopkins, of course. You want to pick somebody to play a possessed person. I think that's probably one of the top people you could pick.
Yeah, him or Jack Nicholson.
Oh yeah.
Jack Nicholson would be a scary exorcist. You know, when he does the eyebrows and he does that nod thing, I'm like we're about to exorcise this demon. Like, oh no. But for people who haven't seen the film, so there's a guy in there who plays Hook on Once Upon a Time. If anybody watches that show, totally blew my mind because he doesn't have the pirate look going on. You know, he lives with his dad. And when he was younger, he was exposed to the family business, which is his dad's a mortician. His dad, you know, their house hosts dead bodies. There's a parlor in the basement. This typical My Girl scenarios, right? And he grows up, and in his family, you either A, become a priest, or B, become a mortician. So he decides, I don't really want to be a mortician, and I definitely don't want to be trapped at my house. I'm going to run away. And by run away, that means he's going to go learn to become a priest. And so he goes to the school to be a priest. But the problem is he's very doubtful, and he has a lot of scientific controversy, doesn't believe a lot. And he basically is the smartest kid there, but because he doesn't have 100% faith, you know, he psychs himself out and decides, I don't want to do this. And he's approached by one of the head priests there that basically says, I will not let you quit. And he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you know, if you quit, I could flip this over and you could be charged. And this could be, you know, what do you call like a grant, like a school into, you know, when you pay the money back, what's the terminology?
Oh, tuition?
Tuition, yeah, you got to pay it back.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he's like, why would you do that? And he's like, you're a mortician, right? He's like, yeah. We're looking for a new exorcist. And he's like, excuse me? And so he basically says, look, fly over to the Vatican, take this class on exorcism. By the end of that, if you don't want to do it, you don't have faith, don't worry about the fees, nothing, you're free to go. And so what he does is he sends him over to the Vatican to meet Anthony Hopkins, well, eventually. And I love it because, no spoilers here, this is still the very first, like, 30 minutes of the movie. This movie is 2 hours long. He meets Anthony Hopkins because Anthony Hopkins is somebody who knows it all and has seen it all, and his job is to convince this guy. And basically he just says, well, we got company coming over in 30 minutes. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And he's like, what are we doing? And he's like, you're assisting me in an exorcism. So right away you're like, this is totally going down. This is happening. And I won't dip too much more into it, but if that interests or excites you at all, this movie is still on Netflix in high definition. It is amazing.
Yeah, and if you guys are a sucker for a good cast, this movie's got one of the best casts I think of. Like Syrian Hines, always one of my favorite actors. I actually remember one of the first roles I've ever seen him in was in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I was like, dude, that guy's a badass. I like his accent. I like the way he talks.
That's the main character?
That's Father Xavier.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then Toby Jones.
Love Toby Jones.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. He's weird.
That's why we love him.
Yeah,
Captain
and then
America.
then Rutger Hauer. Is that how you say his last name? H-A.
Yeah, Rutger Hauer. You got it.
Yeah.
That's a pretty impressive lineup of some veteran actors, especially and Anthony Hopkins, I guess, too.
Yeah, and the scenery's beautiful too. You know, demons and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to jump in here real quick, and we're going to be talking about different exorcism movies throughout this episode. But I wanted, I think one of the reasons why I was interested in doing this episode was because, to be honest, I'm not like a big exorcism movie fan. So I wanted to know, what is it about these movies that bring you, what is it when you sit down to watch if you're a fan of exorcism movies and you sit down to watch one, what are some of the things that excite you about an exorcism movie? Because I know for myself, I can say, all exorcism movies are the same, but then I'm a fan of slasher movies, and those can be the same too. But I think for me, with a slasher movie, I watch it to see the killer's look or the kills or stuff like that. Even though the format is the same or the plot's probably the same, there's things that I want to watch each slasher film because it has a unique element in it that I want to see. What is that for the exorcism movies? Can one of you guys explain that to me?
I think for me, the exorcism movies, what kind of makes them unique is the fact that when you actually go in and you actually study because when you study like demon lore and angel lore, like going back to like pre-Judaism, like when it like in the beginning, like the start of all this, like you learn about these different types of demons, in particular the demons that actually possess people. Their intent to actually have their intent is malicious. Obviously, they're wanting to do harm to humans or harm to anybody for that matter. Well, you go and you actually research these demons. There's different classes of demons, and not all demons that possess people are out for some sort of malicious intent, and that's what we see in the movies are the malicious demons. But if you do your own research, you'll find out that like succubi and incubi, which are obviously the demons that feed off of like sexual energy and they devour your soul, they are not outwardly malicious and aggressive. And there are some lore surrounding this that succubi and incubi can actually possess humans also, even though they're not what we refer to as corporeal demons, which are demons you can like feel and touch. We have non-corporeal demons, which are like more like spirit demons that actually enter your body. It gives me ideas for like my writings myself.
Okay. So, do you have a degree in demonology? I just thought I would throw that.
No, I don't. But I want to get one.
You sound like you're getting close. I'll sum mine up in 2 words, and then we'll just delete this in the podcast if it's no good. Hail Satan. Is that? The reason I like Exorcism podcast is because I am completely open-minded to the idea that seeing is believing, so whatever. And it truly mesmerizes me to see, kind of like you said with slasher films, to see an exorcism movie that can do something different that hasn't been done in every other film. And we'll get to some of those movies. I like to see ones that are based on actual facts and then go back and see how close to the story it really is. But then, let's face it, if you look on most best horror movie lists, The Exorcist is always in the top 3, like, of everybody's list. So there's something truly scary about, Satan and devil and just all these things that's truly I mean, that's like the ultimate evil, right? And so I think for exorcism films, that gets you as close as you can get to something like that, or as close as somebody will comfortably get. And so for me, in watching them, I just like to see, the comparison to the real life things, but also just to see where they go with it and how they can be different.
Yeah. The ultimate evil thing, I think there's one thing that's worse. Ex-wives.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Deliverance.
Oh.
But Deliverance with ex-husbands. Hey.
Oh, no.
Man. Well, I haven't dealt with an ex-wife before, so hopefully that's not something that's in my near future. But
yeah,
I did.
For sure.
I told my wife that Jennifer Garner was my future wife as well. So we'll see if that doesn't.
Yeah, I said that about Eva Green. So
Eva Green. Who's Eva Green?
She you remember 300 Rise of the Empire? She played.
No.
You never saw it?
It's not a horror movie.
You remember the series Penny Dreadful on Showtime?
Yes.
Yeah, she played the main chick in that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Andy, go ahead and jump in with that because I gotta look something up.
Well, yeah. It's, I think one of the things that I feel like a lot of people think exorcism movies are some of the scariest movies in horror, like one of the scariest subgenres, because I think a lot of people that believe in God or the afterlife or whatever, I think that the demon possession is a very real possibility, and and it's something that's scary. It's like a supernatural thing that could that a lot of people believe in. So I think that adds to make the exorcism movies scarier, because it's something that many believe could actually happen. So I guess as opposed to if you're watching a Friday the 13th movie, you're like, oh well, Jason, he's not going to come back to life. But if you're watching an exorcism movie, like, oh, that little girl is not in control of her body, and well, maybe that could really happen. So I think it's interesting to see that that people will kind of put exorcism movies, while the threat is supernatural, people tend to put that in a real life horror box, with like serial killers and things like that.
Yeah, and a really good example of a possession movie was the Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is based off of a real exorcism or a real event. It actually was based off of the story of Annalise Michael. One of the things I really do enjoy about Exorcism of Emily Rose is it was more centered on the actual character and understanding the character and the possession, and not just the exorcism itself.
Yeah, and that goes back to 1975, right? The actual case?
73.
73. Okay, I knew it was early 70s.
Yeah, so like the girl in that, she actually died, right? The one that was
Yeah.
Yeah, she died because yeah. Yeah, that was. I'm not gonna actually reveal like how she died, but I mean, yeah, she died.
She choked on a jelly bean.
Yeah, that's the nickname for my.
Jelly bean? You can do better than that, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. No. But the real case that this movie's based off of, the girl died not because of the possession or because of an exorcism. She died because her parents took off her medication that she was on to help treat her epilepsy. I mean, and I'm really torn to say that part of that was because of the advice that the church probably gave them.
Well, yeah, because her condition, it just got worse, and then she became suicidal also.
Yeah, and I really hate to point fingers at the Catholic Church for that, but I mean that. Yeah, it'll definitely come down on somebody, and I think it did.
Yeah, well, and even in the end, I mean, she was 23 years old. That's terrible. And the priests who were found guilty with the, negligent homicide and whatnot, they only got 3 years probation and fined. Like, they were sentenced to jail, but they didn't have to actually serve jail time. So in the end, I mean, they had to live with the fact that forever. And, she was announced mentally ill and never possessed.
Yeah. And I think that actually happens a lot now, and I think that's part of the reason why the Catholic Church is pretty much prohibits exorcisms, and why it's become such a taboo thing, and that's why it's like a last resort thing for those people that really believe that they are possessed with somebody that they love is possessed.
Yeah. Andy, I think we forgot in the beginning of the podcast to mention that the point of this episode is to bring back exorcisms.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you can start by exercising my ex.
Did you guys? We've all seen Exorcism Emily Rose, right? So
yeah.
Did you guys know that originally when they were filming or going to film this movie, the director had intended on using wire harnesses and getting a contortionist in here, and the actress actually was able to do that all by herself, and that helped her get the role. Like, could you imagine? So they're auditioning, and she just busts out with the the back handspring and the contorting, and you're like, man, not only can you act, you just saved me so much money. You're hired.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that's.
I could also see. I think that would make for that kind of skill would make good for those movies where you crawl backwards down the stairs in your head and kind of turns.
Oh yeah, the crab walk, the spider walk.
Yeah. Oh, a crab walk. I like that.
They got to make the little noise.
Choking on a jelly bean, right? That's what this is.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the deleted scenes from The Exorcist, I think, the cut scenes, I guess, and on that release they did a while back called the uncut, or it's like an uncut version or director's cut. They put that scene back in.
The version you've never seen.
Yeah, the version you've never seen. Yeah, so that was kind of cool to see that scene.
They said two different things. What do you think's the truth? They said they didn't include it because they thought it would be too scary. But then I read they didn't include it because they just couldn't figure out a way to hide the wires harnesses. They didn't have computer technology to do that. So, I mean, it did hold up. Like, that scene's so cool because you don't get a warning for it. And the way the Exorcism film goes is, it's a long movie and it progresses slowly. And something that you'll hear if you listen to the Fright Club podcast when they talk about the film that was brought to my attention was, think about how this movie starts out in an extreme wide frame. It shows where did they find the artifact? Do you guys remember? Was it like Egypt or Israel or something. I don't know off the top of my head. But when he's digging and he finds that possessed artifact thing, it's in the desert.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, now you're to the city. And then you're at this house. Then the doctor's office. And then now the rest of the movie, you're trapped in the girl's bedroom. So, like, it's consistently bringing you into that part where you feel trapped in that bedroom.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when I started thinking about it, I was like, man, if they did that on purpose, that was genius.
Yeah, for real. I mean, that just adds to the suspense, the claustrophobia, the atmosphere of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of possession movies do, they always have like those little tropes that make them kind of similar, but also make them unique. Is the fact that most of the movies we see are about women. Why is that?
Because you can't have a female priest. Yeah, I was debating this the other day too, because I'm actually looking to make an exorcism short film, and I thought of that. It's funny you bring that up. I was like, man, how come it's always that way? Why is a guy never possessed? And there's a few where it is, but it's extremely rare. And then, believe it, my wife walks up. She goes, because a woman can't be a priest. And she walked away, and I was like, damn it, that's right. Because then she'd be a nun.
Yeah,
But-
she's pretty quick.
But she is, yeah. God bless her. But see how I did that. But you know, the funny thing is, but there are two different kinds of exorcisms, right? Like I read that there's also like an unofficial or official one. I guess if it's done through a certain way, you have to be, you know, ordained priest, Catholic thing. But otherwise, you just have to be a believer. And if you're a true believer, you can perform an exorcism. Did you guys read anything about that?
Yeah, but at the same time, yeah, I've read that too. But at the same time, even if you are a believer, you can still be possessed. One of the things that kind of they leave out in a lot of the movies is it's easier for a believer to be possessed than a non-believer is, because that believer also believes in a higher power and the power that's way down here that sends those little evil beings up to possess.
The being down here that listens to Iron Maiden.
I was thinking more of like Pantera. But
Oh, I think they're in the same place.
yeah, well, so
Rock
is
and roll.
Hitler, but still.
No, Hitler is getting a pineapple shoved up his ass.
By Saddam Hussein, right?
Yep. You know, but it's funny you bring that up too, because I don't know which one of these movies it was I was watching, and they had said something similar to what you said about being a believer or not believer. It's like, just because you don't believe doesn't mean you can hide from the devil. You know, like
yeah.
just because you don't believe in evil doesn't mean evil doesn't believe in you. I'm like, man, that sucks.
Wasn't that in like 8mm or something like that? I think that was like Joaquin Phoenix said that or something like that. He said, "You may not believe in the devil, but the devil believes in you," or something like that.
That sounds really inspirational, you know, for like
Yeah.
for somebody from the Church of Satan.
Have you guys ever like flipped through the Satanic Bible? It's kind of an interesting read.
No, I went to Half Price Books, but I couldn't find one.
I mean, because it's funny, because like real, you know, people from the Church of Satan, like they don't believe in a literal devil. You know, it's all about worshiping yourself, basically, and you know they don't believe. You know, they're basically atheists, and they believe about, you know, they just think that everybody should be able to do what they want as long as you don't hurt anybody else. Then just do what you want.
And yeah, that's actually a really good point. The fact that the Church of Satan is really misunderstood, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but at the same time, they can't. I'm not like over hyperly religious, not like I used to be. Mainly because I've started to learn different things. I've started to learn about the real evils in the world, but at the same time, the Church of Satan, they don't really. It's hard to call them the Church of Satan if they're just believing in themselves, you know. So I really feel like if they're going to claim to be the Church of Satan, then they really need to do their research.
I'm going to segue that. Did either one of you guys get a chance to see The Devil's Candy?
No.
No.
For modern horror films, it has made my top 10. I've watched it 4 times in the last 2 months. I love it. But going back to the idea of evil is evil. It's not something they talk about in the movie is, you know, the devil is not what you draw in a picture. The devil is not a Halloween mask you can get at the store. Like, the devil is true evil that lives inside of you and carries through the evil things that you do. And so, long story short, for the devil's candy, you basically have this guy who's deeply, deeply disturbed or possessed, and he hears voices and he kills people, predominantly children. And he does it because the devil tells him to do it. And so what happens is our main family move into this house where he used to live, and he's come home. And now they have to defend themselves against him, all the while he's killing people, in the town. And it's something that, the people who live in the house are, rock and roll, Metallica all the time, like, yeah, Hail Satan 666, like, they're just, it's all a joke because they're like, who cares? Who really knows? And I think it's part of that helps them realize the evil. Because, like you said, whether you believe it or not, when it comes to your doorstep, what's the truth for you? And I think that goes for a lot of people too. And with maybe why they like or dislike exorcism films is because that puts their own judgment, their own character into question. They say, life imitating art, art imitating life. Do exorcism films change people's faith?
I think for some people, I think for those that believe in it and believe it and understand it, it's going to be a little hard for them to kind of turn away from their faith alone. But I think for those people that have never ever once stepped foot in a church or even held a Bible are going to see this, and they're going to instantly be like, what? Okay, that's weird, that's creepy, and they're going to do their research, and eventually I think it's going to plant that seed in their mind,
Yeah, I mean, definitely make you think twice. I mean, thinking about like demonic possession and make you think about spiritual battles going on around you and things like that.
Yeah, do you guys have any more like the more popular exorcism movies? Because if not, I have a really one that I think is really unpopular.
Andy, you brought a few to my attention. Go ahead.
I really like The Last Exorcism, and I think Dave, I think you're a fan of that too. That one's really cool. It's a found footage movie, but it's about this priest that's, or I don't even think he's a priest. I think he's more of like a Protestant guy. I'm not sure. But anyway, he goes around and he invites this documentary crew to follow him on his last exorcism. And so, as the movie goes along, the documentary crew sees through his act. They find out it's, and I don't think this is spoiling anything. They find out it's just kind of an act for him, and he doesn't really believe himself, but he goes around and like tries to help people that have like mental issues and tries to help them like get better. And like I think what it was is like, so they believe that they're possessed, so he's gonna do an exorcism. Whether or not he believes in it himself, it will help them out. And but then like as you go on through the movie, during his last exorcism, there's more than meets the eye, and you find out there's other stuff going on. Like I said, I'm not a big exorcism movie fan, but I really like this one. I think how it played out was really cool. I didn't see it. I think you can kind of get clues and see where it's going, but then when the end comes, you're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And they did something a little bit different with, well, I guess it's not that different, but
no, it's different.
Yeah,
it's awesome, man. Come on, it's one of the better exorcism films, especially for anybody that wants something different. A found footage exorcism film that doesn't suck. Part 2 is a different story, but the last exorcism, the first one, I mean, something's creepy about a farmhouse, right? And then running through the fields, it always works. But with all that being said, Dakota, I'm curious as to which film you're referring to.
The Devil Inside.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
One of the worst exorcism movies or possession movies I've ever fucking seen. It drove me absolutely nuts. I was sitting there. I went to see it opening day in the theater because I was like, oh my God, trailer looks awesome. I'm going to love this movie. Hell no. I sat through that thing. And I was like, what the hell? It's not even scary. That's not even... But like, I think some of it was interesting in some parts, like the connect the cuts,
Oh yeah,
connect the cuts, connect the cuts, connect the cuts. Yeah, I think that was cool. That was a little disturbed, but I don't like how I hated how it ended, and I hate the found footage films. Obviously, I can't say this enough. The found footage films drive me absolutely bonkers because they all end the same. And this is not an exception to the rule because it ends the same. Oh, we're going to all have a panic attack and we're all going to run away from the thing that's trying to kill us. Yeah, but you can't really run away from a demon, can you? Especially when it's possessing one of your friends. But
no.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, they crash the car they're in because the demon possessed the driver or something of the sort. And then you see the camera, and then you see somebody leave the car wreck or something like that. I hated it. It made no sense for me.
Hey guys, if you haven't checked out the Black Hat Shadow movie store, now is a great time because we're having our Black Friday sale going on now till the end of November. You get 10% off your total order. We have VHS, we have DVD, we have Blu-rays, we have rare and hard to find stuff on there, so definitely would encourage you guys to go check it out, see what we got there. I think we have a really good selection of different things, different kind of oddball things. You never know what you're going to find there, and every purchase helps out the Black Hat Shadow podcast continue doing what we're doing. So again, you get 10% off your order now through the end of November. It's our Black Friday sale going on now, so go check it out. Thanks guys.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
There's another found footage exorcism movie that I thought was pretty effective. It's called The Taking of Deborah Logan. Have you guys seen that one?
I saw the cover.
I think I started watching it like I think I got like 20-30 minutes into it before, and I was like, okay, no, I'm done.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. So the plot of that one is this film crew is making a documentary about Alzheimer's. And so they get permission to go and film kind of like I don't know like what the occasion is, but they just want to go and film this older woman that has Alzheimer's, and her daughters are taking care of her. And they give this film crew permission to go in and kind of film her life, and they want to show the progression of the dimension that's kind of taken over her mind. And so they, it starts off like that, but then they quickly realize that there's something more sinister, supernatural going on. And I think this is one of the ones that does something a little bit different. I really liked it, how it ended, and some of the things that they did, some of the effects was really cool. And it was pretty scary, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. It used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it still is, but I remember it had like a pretty decent to high rating on IMDb. And then a podcast I was listening to one day watched it, and I think they disagreed with you.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. They're not as cool as us, so I won't say their podcast name. But, we've talked about The Exorcist, and we talked about Emily Rose. But, something I like, and we talked about the Italian horror movie, and then I think before recording, Dakota was even talking about, early silent film stuff. But I was going to say, as far as records are concerned, I think 1578 was stated to be the year the first exorcism was performed. So I didn't know if you guys didn't get to do any research on that one.
Well, I think that's actually the first the actual recorded history of exorcisms. I mean,
right.
The lore goes back to obviously biblical times with Jesus, but I don't want to go there yet. Let's go with the one from 1578.
So her name was Martha Brosier, and we'll just say she's one of the first victims to have claimed to be possessed and to go through demonic torment. And she claimed that she suffered shortness of breath. She would stick her tongue out unreasonably and imitate that she's having convulsions and everything. She would roll her eyes and contort her body. However, she was not actually possessed. It was a fraud. So what happened is they made her drink holy water under the disguise of normal water, and they basically took a regular key and they wrapped it in a red silk and handed it to her, but then told her that the silk contained a piece of a true cross. So then, they began to recite verses from Virgil, and she became agitated and started to react to it, and that's how they knew that she was a hoax, because the verses that they were reciting from Virgil, he's just a poet. They were just reading a poem, not actual exorcism rite, and that's how they knew that she was faking it. And so in the end, the first real exorcism case was still even a fraud.
See, what I kind of question, like, what spurs somebody to fake an like a possession?
I don't know, attention.
Kind of like we said in the beginning. Yeah, some people, I mean, this is going to sound so cliche, right? Like you said, attention. Some people just do it to get attention. Some people, whether they're actually truly possessed or not, maybe they just truly believe they are,
And see, that's just strange, because like in 1578, if a woman acted that way, there was three possibilities that could happen. Either A, you get exorcised and you're just fine. B, you get burnt at the stake for being a witch and communing with demons. Or C, they do that. So, I mean, she was really gambling with her fate.
What if she was a witch who just wanted attention?
Then she needs to summon an incubus and get it on.
Lords of Salem stuff right there.
Oh, I still need to see that one.
Yeah, you do. It's really good. I don't care if anybody out there says who disagrees.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see it, and yeah, I just haven't. But one movie I did actually just watch today, and I think I mentioned it to Dave. There's a movie called Black Coat's Daughter, and I saw it on the list of like possession movies, and I was like, I think I heard another podcast, mention it as a possession movie, so I wanted to check it out, and it was a really weird movie. I was really confused at the beginning, but as it went on, I kind of figured things out. But it went to places I didn't. I mean, it's one of those movies I just didn't like know where it was going to go, and it was really surprising. I thought it was pretty freaky. Dave, you kind of had a different opinion of it, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't like the movie. Kind of like you, I was very intrigued in the story, and I didn't know where it was going to go. I think for me, I was wrapped into the performances of Emma Roberts. I thought she was awesome, but I didn't care too much for the lead actress very much, and I think it was just the writing. Like, the other story was more compelling to me.
Sure.
And then also, I'm drawing a blank. Is it James Remar?
Oh, yeah,
I think that's his name. He was freaking fantastic. So to have him and Emma Roberts in the same sequence, I wanted to see more of that sequence rather than the alternative, and They don't give you that. You got to wait your turn. But I'll tell you, what was really fascinating about that movie to me, in a lump sum, was the director. Did you see who directed it?
Yeah, it's Oz Perkins.
Yeah, you know who that is?
I'm not really familiar with his work.
Right, he's the son of Anthony Perkins, the guy who plays Psycho.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mr. Norman Bates himself, the original.
Nice.
That's his daddy.
Okay. But yeah, Black Coat's Daughter, it's one of those movies, it's like, the less you know going into it, probably the better.
So don't let us ruin it for you.
See, I've been kind of wondering about this. Are there any movies out there, like possession movies, that are from the demon's perspective?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean,
I think it would make for an interesting movie, though. A possession movie from the demon's perspective. Like, oh, I'm gonna fuck some shit up. Let's do this.
Yeah. No, that would be kind of interesting to see that. Yeah.
Well, I know. Speaking of that, Andy, we talked about the Black Room.
Oh yeah.
And in the Black Room, there's a little bit of that where your main character gets possessed, and so we see a lot of it from his perspective. He is on the prowl, he's on the hunt, and he tells the girl, somebody who's obsessed with demons, you've never had a devil inside you.
Yeah.
So you do get some of that, but yeah, I think he's onto something there. A lot of movies kind of taunt with the aspect of the perspective from the demonic force side. But as far as a whole movie, it's never been story driven that way, from what I know.
Right. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
They're definitely missing out on an opportunity, though. I think it would be very cool to see a movie that way. I mean, kind of make it kind of like Insidious was, but make it more like demony, you know?
Well, no, I don't know. What do you mean by demony?
You know, creepy, fiery.
You didn't think Insidious was creepy?
Oh, I loved it. I loved Insidious. It was creepy. It was okay. So what did they refer to the demon as in Insidious?
The lipstick demon.
Okay, so whatever. Okay, so the scene where it pops up behind the dude. What's the actor in
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jinx,
Yeah,
you monster.
Yeah, that freaking scene. It drove me absolutely insane because I was like, I was sitting there, I was watching, and all of a sudden it kind of pans. I'm like, holy shit! I want something like that in like a possession type movie.
You want to see it like? Would you watch a possession film from a demon's point of view, but it was found footage? The demon has a camera.
Oh God, makes my brain hurt. Ugh.
Okay.
See, I think with these movies, I think this is one of the more scarier type horror movies, and I think if you were to poll a bunch of people out there, and I think I'm going to set that up, kind of poll like a select number of people and say, like, what's scarier between like the creature feature type movies, like a monster movie or a possession movie, and I want to put that out there for all the people that are going to be listening, or anybody. If you guys want to get on Facebook, or if you guys want to leave us a review, that'd be good too. But if you guys want to get on Facebook, like and share the page, and when you do that, kind of put like a comment. We'll post I think when we actually post this episode, like comment underneath it saying which is scarier, either a monster movie or a possession movie.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what people think.
And then let us know if you think Dakota should watch more found footage films.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's gonna have to really, somebody's gonna have to really bribe me, or it's gonna have to be like one of those challenge type things that me and Andy did before.
I got something for you guys. Did you hear about, and I may butcher this, but it's called a Tanansu Exorcism, 2005?
No.
This is probably the most fascinating for me because there's nothing hidden about this. In 2005, there's a case where a 23-year-old girl moves to a monastery, and she was going to be a nun because a friend of hers became a nun. She's like, this is a good thing. You should do this. And she grew up in an orphanage, so it just seemed like the right thing for her to do. She wanted to find herself, and she wanted to guide other people. Unfortunately, after she joined, her mental state deteriorated, and she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And then after a 2-week treatment, they released her into the care of the monastery and said, we can't help you. You try something else. And so the priest, whose name was difficult to say, but I'll give it a shot, Daniel Petre Corrigano. I'm sorry if I get that wrong, Corrigino, but he believed it was not a mental illness and that she was actually possessed by Satan himself. And he claimed, you can't take the devil out of people with pills, and that an exorcism was necessary. And keep in mind, this is 2005, guys. This is 12 years ago, right? So what they did is they chained her to a cross, right, with her arms stretched out, and they carried her into the church. Her wrist and her forehead were anointed with holy oil, and she was kept there for 3 days. And they put a towel in her mouth to stop her cursing and swearing, and they just prayed to her, and they tried to cast out the evil by putting holy water on her lips, And then when they took her to a room and they removed the chains, they couldn't wake her up. They called an ambulance. She got rushed to the hospital, 23 years old, dead upon arrival. The autopsy had showed that she died from dehydration, exhaustion, and a lack of oxygen. So the Roman Orthodox Church basically closed down the monastery, and the priest lost his rights in ministry, and he and the nuns were actually charged with murder, and depriving a person of their liberty, and they did 7 years.
You see, I remember hearing about that. It was a big thing. It was very big, and I remember actually going through, kind of reading about it. And I think it was one of the first times that I actually started learning about like the like possession, exorcism, and like demonology. I wanted to learn more, and I think that's kind of where I became a black sheep in my family.
Told you he was doing demonology, Andy.
No, talking about was it like the priest that was convicted, and that was involved in like a death because of an exorcism, convicted to. That reminds me of another movie that I just saw this week, and it's called The Exorcism of Molly Hartley. Dave brought this one to my attention, and it was okay. I think I was kind of a little bit let down at the very end, how it ended, but I don't know. Dave, what did you think ultimately of that one?
I think our listeners need to be careful not to confuse it with The Haunting of Molly Hartley, because these movies have almost the same title, and apparently they're related, and I didn't even know that because I didn't see The Haunting. I went straight to the Exorcism one for this podcast, but I really like it because it did the one thing we talked about in the first half of this podcast, and that was I was worried this was just a Netflix B exorcism horror movie, that I really wasn't going to get anything that I really wanted out of it. And for me, the end definitely didn't let me down, because the end kind of turned the whole story up on its head. And when it showed me a different version of how the darkness lives inside of you and that evil can come from anywhere, I thought it completed the story, wholeheartedly. I know for you, Andy, you said it set you up because you were wanting a little bit more, but right. I guess I was so engulfed in the story. I don't know if maybe you saw it coming, but I didn't. And so it was enough for me. But we won't say too much of what it is. But won't you, after the movie was over, Andy hit me up. And, Dakota works during the day. Bless him. He's didn't get a chance to watch this on a Monday during the day while the rest of us are still in pajamas. But who was the priest, Andy?
Oh, it was Devin Sawa.
Little Giants himself, Mr. Casper. Yeah, all grown up.
Yeah, I hadn't seen him since Final Destination in 2000.
You guys remember that movie?
Yeah.
What, Final Destination?
Yeah,
or Little Giants?
Either one. Yeah. I actually like Little Giants a little more, but...
Yeah, I actually grew up watching Little Giants. It was one of my favorite movies. And then I think I just rewatched the Final Destination series here recently.
But I guess I never did say the plot for the Exorcism of Molly Hartley. But basically, Devin Sawa is a priest, and at the very beginning of the movie, he's involved in the exorcism, and it goes bad, and a couple people die, and so he gets they put him in like a psychiatric hospital instead of prison because he was a priest, and I think the priest, the church pulled some strings for him or something. I can't remember now exactly. But
it's all about who you know.
Yeah, so they put him in a psychiatric hospital, and then lo and behold, a young woman gets admitted. A young woman named Molly Hartley, and she is brought in because she murdered 2 people. And so they bring her to the psychiatric hospital to determine if she's fit to stand trial. And so through the course of that, they find out that there's other stuff going on with this Molly Hartley woman, and so and the priest gets involved in it, and just keeps on going from there. And it definitely is an interesting story. I do like where it goes. Like Dave said, I just wish it would have. Like, I guess I was expecting. My expectations were a little too high for it. I guess I was expecting a certain thing to happen at the end, and it didn't. So anyway, but yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad movie. It's on Netflix right now.
For me, man, I think why I liked it so much as well was, in all these exorcism films, you always feel for the character, and you're always on the side of the priest, but the priest sometimes doesn't get as much attention as the possessed victim, and in this movie, it was kind of the other way around. It focused more on the priest's perspective, almost what Dakota wants, but a little different. But the idea is that he can only heal her if he believes in himself. And that's what the true testament was he has to not only find his faith again, but faith in himself to be able to be the guy to help her, because he's the only one. And I think that stood out to me just as one of those self-conquering type films,
Obviously, from what we know about exorcism is, for those that are Christian or even somebody who's mainly I'll stick with Christianity. Jesus performed exorcisms not because he knew about what was going on. It's just because he was compelled to. It was kind of almost like his duty. And those are like some of the earliest ones we know about in like what some would refer to as fiction, and some of us refer to as the truth because of obviously our faith. But exorcisms are not always recorded and put down in history. I think one of the earliest ones passed down by word of mouth was in the 13th century, and it was actually considered because of a group, like a whole like family of people that were possessed, that the Catholic Church went into the home and practically slaughtered all these people. There's like a story that I was told, like I think almost like 4 or 5 years ago, and it kind of shocked me, because I mean I was like I wouldn't think that it was possible, but obviously something like that is possible because we know that the Catholic Church is not always innocent. There's always some like controversy surrounding the Catholic Church, and I think that's kind of why now we've seen like things that happen, like obviously the one that happened in 2005, where basically somebody was murdered because what they thought was somebody was possessed. And I think it's almost an outdated practice now, obviously. And the people that really do the exorcisms now, anybody that will do an exorcism, they're like what we would refer to as mystics, people who understand the supernatural and will try to do what they can to help these people out. But I think if there really is a possession, the only real way to get rid of it is, to die. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of a successful exorcism.
So my question with that is, just in theory, if you have somebody who's possessed and they die, does the evil spirit die with them, or does it just merely go to somebody else?
A lot of the lore kind of surrounds it. When somebody dies from that, their soul is trapped in damnation, basically. And it's basically tied to that demon, and that demon basically feeds off that energy. So when that demon will return back to hell, or will they repossess somebody? It's debated. There's two sides to it. One side will say, hey, yeah, they'll go and they'll find somebody else who's very similar, or they'll find something that's easy to prey on, or they'll return to hell, feed off the soul that they've condemned, and come back. At other times, there's some places like obviously, like we've heard of, like the Amityville Horror, like where a demon or a spirit is tied to a certain place, and they can't, like those types of demons can still possess people or possess objects or other creatures.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you brought that up too, because speaking of Amityville Horror, that ties me right into like The Conjuring. I mean, we talked about Insidious. James Wan also did The Conjuring, which still involves not necessarily ghosts, but demonic forces. And I absolutely love the on-screen versions of Ed and Lorraine Warren, where they, the first one for sure, where they go into, the farmhouse with the family living there, and then the mother gets possessed by, was it a witch? I think that's what they said it was, like a demonic witch. Yeah. That was a good, scary movie. I mean, I think early on in the very beginning of the show, I can't remember, did you talked about The Conjuring 1 or 2?
I did an episode on Conjuring 2. Okay,
and that, what would we call that? The freaky flashbacks? Is that good stuff?
Yeah, it was the freaky flashback. Cool. Yeah, and I think so. That was like episode, maybe it was episode 2. I don't know, but it was like the freaky. It was like Conjuring 2, and then the old, and it was the older movie.
Been a while. No, not to call you out. No, it's been a long time, and that was right before Dakota joined, and long before I joined. But, so I'm gonna do this here. Andy, I know I kind of got you on board, and we both really enjoyed the Hellbent for Horror podcast. Have you heard the episode he did about the Warrens and his take on the whole Conjuring myth and lore?
I listened to one where he tells a story about when he went to their house. Is that what you're talking about?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I hit up Scott the other day, and I was like, dude, you've met Ed and Lorraine? Like, you are the most envied person of my life. And he's like, yeah, Dave, did you finish the episode? I'm like, no, I had to pause it. And he goes, cool. Get back to me after you finish it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I jumped into it, and dude, literally, my heart broke. I told him I felt like a child who discovered there was no Santa Claus. Spoiler. And it was just so I was just so let down because the on-screen versions we get from, Patrick Wilson and Vera. How do you say it? Vera Farmiga?
Yeah.
Farmiga? They're amazing, and I love the Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2. I cannot wait for Conjuring 3. They're making it. But, yeah, when he told me that he had been there and, there's no doubt things have happened, that they truly believed in everything that they were saying, but a lot of it's for show. And I was like, oh, bummer. And then I was going to be like, you guys want to go?
It would be interesting to see their house.
Closer to you guys. I think it's Pennsylvania area, right?
I don't
think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd go hold the actual Annabelle, than to do anything like that.
Life-size child size. Wait, how you say that right? Life-size doll, same as the height of a child, I guess. But yeah, giant rag doll. Don't touch the doll, Dakota. Just go through the Extreme Haunted House instead. You said you'd do that.
Oh, I'm going to. I just gotta narrow down time that I'm not gonna be busy or.
I'm gonna go talk to Russ. I'm like, you said you talk to people before you hypnotize. I'm like, okay, you need to go get the Annabelle doll and just throw it at him.
I'm not scared of it. I'm really not. I don't feel like it's necessary to be scared of something specifically like the Annabelle doll. I mean, I really have a hard time believing that shit really happened.
Yeah, that's perfect for the show too, because it just seeing is believing, man. I mean, yeah. I'm not gonna say no, but I'm definitely not gonna say yes.
Yeah. So, are you guys familiar with the Goetic demons?
No.
All right, so
wait, hold on. Let me slow you down. How do you pronounce that? What did you say?
Goetic demons.
Okay, I heard the go at it demons. I'm like, dang, they sound like they're so passionate. But okay, so go at it. Okay.
So, what they refer to as the Goetic demons are from the Ars Goetic or Ars Goetia, which are basically the top demons, the ones that kind of run things. What you have like the demon kings, the princes of hell, the kings of hell. Something that people don't understand is Baal. It's really like it's either Baal or Baal. This is coming from the Grand Grimoire, which is supposedly the ultimate source of all evil, learning about demons, other than the Necronomicon, of course. But a lot of these demons, they're what we call corporeal. They're the ones that actually go into the physical realm and can actually take form of like a human instead of actually having to possess somebody, while the non-corporeal demons, which are looking for a human form, which is kind of where we get the weird lore cross, where people are like, okay, so why is a demon possessing a human? Maybe they're looking to cause mischief, or maybe they're looking for a pure human form so they can cause mischief elsewhere other than inside of the body.
Yeah, I thought the idea I think you touched base, was, demons wanted to cause harm to people and possess people because they could do more damage if they were human again. They wanted to be able to physically hurt people, where as demons they can only do so much. Is that close to what you guys have heard?
What I've read was like one of the motivations behind demonic possession was, since demons are incorporeal, they don't have a physical body, they don't have access to the physical senses, and so I think sometimes like that people believe that possession happens so a demonic entity can experience those physical senses. And when they do that, they try to experience them to the fullest, whether that be, whatever, lust or whatever.
You said lust, and it totally threw this. So Annabelle's a doll. If anybody had a fetish with a doll, do you think they'd have an ultra fetish with the Annabelle doll? Is that like best of both worlds, or is that like a double negative? just
I think that's starting to go into the realm of some really creepy shit that I don't think we want to touch on, because I think we'd end up getting some really creepy emails from really creepy people.
You're talking about go at it demons, so I just thought I'd bring it up.
I mean, we were talking about position, and one of the more interesting ones that kind of deals with that is, so going back to, like, let's say this is like Old Testament shit here. Noah's son Ham was known to have actually invoked a demon after the flood. That demon's name was Belith. Belith commanded 85 legions of demons, and he is actually one of the more demons responsible for sending his minions up to cause mischief and mayhem and possess people. And he is known to ride a warhorse, and his buddy Purasan, the great king of hell, is known to be riding a bear, which I thought was really freaking weird. He also does the exact same thing.
Do you think it's a grizzly bear, a koala bear, or a polar bear?
It's more of a like a sun bear.
A sun bear?
It's like a sun bear.
Oh man, I was hoping you were gonna say like polar bear with the Coca-Cola, but okay.
Well, and I think what was cool there's also Asmodeus. Asmodeus is also another king of hell. He is actually supposedly like third down from Satan himself. He is actually the one that they based, like, his image is what they based the Antichrist off of. And he is actually known to be one of the only corporeal demons that possess humans. I just thought it was some interesting lore for you guys there.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Thanks for sharing.
Dakota with the backstory. I mean, demonology, just saying. Speaking of ball, because that is pronounced ball, you're right. Have either one of you guys seen the Vatican tapes?
No.
So
I actually saw a documentary that talked about like some inspiration from the Vatican tapes.
Okay.
It was on YouTube, and I tried finding it again because I was going to bring it up, but I lost.
Well, the film itself is on Hulu, and I had seen it twice. So when I rewatched it for this, the things I picked up on were the names Baal and Legion both pop up in this movie, and the part of the idea with this exorcism film was that to appropriately cast an exorcism, you have to get the demon to reveal himself out of the human form, basically saying, oh, okay.
That is the seal of Astaroth. That's how you. That's basically how you commune with a Duke of Hell. Basically, one of the demons that possess people, and that's part of what's to do with Legion. You were referring to.
Word. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. He showed me a picture and stopped me in my tracks. If I was a train, I had just got derailed. But long story short, once you can diagnose what is possessing the person, that's when you can defeat the demon. Because then you make the demon, you can say, okay, Baal, I'm specifically talking to you. No, I don't talk to my balls, but I'm saying, Baal, I'm talking to you. And, you leave this person, I cast you out now. And that's what gives you power over the demon, I guess, because its true form. So I don't know, Dakota, if that resonates anywhere with what you've read or already know.
Yeah, and that's kind of why like when in exorcism movies, you see them try to get the demon's name. And like they always use like a human name. Oh, my name is Matthew. They use a fake name. It's not the actual name of the demon, and that's why it's harder to expel a demon, because they know the tricks. These tricks have been used on them before. That's why it's easier to befriend a demon. That way you can learn its real name. It's like the story of Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin was supposed to have actually been a demon, not an actual monster. He was supposed to have been a demon that was a mischievous demon, and the only way to get rid of him was to learn his name.
Did you guys see that Stephen King movie, Storm of the Century?
Yeah, I saw it when I was a kid. I don't really remember too much about it.
Yeah, there was a lot of great stuff in there about, give me what I want and I'll go away. Similar to what you're saying there. Like, who's the demon? And then just like Exorcism, Emily Rose, whenever there's that creepy barn scene where they finally get her talking and, she starts naming all the, just the people from the Bible. Like, I am Cain, I am Lucifer, I am Abel, I am this. I'm just like, holy, you're everybody. And that brings me down to that people can be possessed by a demon, or like you said, a manifestation of multiple demons. And I guess that's just bad luck. It's just tough shit for you if you have multiple demon possessions.
And I think a lot of those possession movies do not talk about multiple demon possession, which I think actually, if I don't remember right, the devil inside. One of the theories in that movie was that the old woman in the movie was possessed by multiple demons, and that's why she would do all the weird things she was doing, is because they were the little quirks of the demons.
Do you ever think the demons would fight amongst themselves inside of a person for control?
It depends on the hierarchy of the demon, I think, because if the demons that are underneath Baal are trying to possess a human or a creature that's under the possession of a demon that's being led by Azeroth, it's a little bit different because Azeroth is a duke, while Baal is basically a high king of hell. So it basically be the demons. Baal's demons would be. That sounded wrong.
I heard that. Demons, balls. Good job.
The demons that are underneath Baal would be the ones that would actually take charge and possession of that being, unless they decide to work together. Like, demons kind of represent what our dark side is, and I think one of the reasons why people are easily possessed are because they kind of give in to their temptation of their dark side.
Yeah, I had read somewhere too that everybody has a dark side. I think it was actually in the Rob Zombie first cut of the original trailer. They talked about, everybody has a dark side, but some people rise above it. And so think about the history of Michael Myers. Is he possessed?
It makes sense then. It does make sense. And the fact that what kind of demon possesses him though? What under who is he? Like, what demon possesses him? If is it a king of hell or a duke of hell that's possessing him, or is it one of their underlings?
Well, which demon doesn't talk very much?
Most of the time, a demon will not communicate unless communicated to. The reason why
Donald Pleasance communicates with him that entire series.
Yeah.
It was the thorn. You remember? It was the thorn demon.
Curse of Thorn.
Yeah.
Thorn demon. Hey, the thorn demon, is he hanging out around the corn trees?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
I'm open to questions if you have questions about demon lore or demonology, but I mean, I think I pretty much got across the point I wanted to make, is that I'm gonna just kind of reiterate as far as possessions go, if there is a real case of possession, it's hard to say this because a lot of people are going to question it. Most of the time when somebody gets possessed, it's because of something that they've done in their past, or it's because they've invited it into themselves. That's part of the lore. That's part of the belief. Another side of the belief is that if it just happens, and if you've been possessed, it's because something happened in your life that's caused you to kind of open yourself up to it, or you invited it.
So you become susceptible to it.
Yeah, you basically become weak. Your soul becomes weaker, and it's easier to enter. A demon doesn't need your permission to enter your body. They just do it.
So just to touch base on something biblical, since you have some knowledge about this, Revelations 19:20. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you heard was coming, and now is in the world already. Any take on that? Is it coming?
Well, apparently Satan does, because that's how the Antichrist is born. But
According to my phone, it says it's here already. So,
the Antichrist, there's a lot of lore surrounding Antichrist and surrounding the end of days, and many different cultures all follow kind of the same similar idea, is that the great evil, Satan, let's say like the I don't know who the Egyptians believed in was the great destroyer, but they all kind of believe in the same thing, that a great destroyer will come from another to rise up and take the form of a regular being and promise the same thing, promise peace and justice, and unite the world under one banner, and the tribes of Israel will all reunite, blah blah blah. I wouldn't want to say that the Antichrist is here. I would like to say that he's on his way still.
and if he is, I will exorcism that motherfucker.
Hey, if you want to hear what I have to say about the Antichrist, just listen to episode 1 of the Black Cat Shadow, where I talk about the Omen and the inspiration to the Omen.
That was a shameless plug.
But it sounded so good.
I figured I'll just throw that in because since I'm being kind of quiet here.
Oh no, you're good. That's perfect. But any more questions for me?
I think that's all for this episode, but I'll get more.
Oh, okay. Well, that's definitely okay with me. I enjoy talking about demonology. If you have questions about angel lore, I'll definitely answer them in Enochian.
Yes, all the people with demon and angel questions can email Dakota at daxshadowbane@gmail.com. Yes, okay. Well, I mean, this has been a really interesting conversation about exorcism movies and even about demonology, and so yeah, it's been cool. So thank you guys for tuning in, and you can find us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at Black Cat Podcast. You can find Phantom Dark Dave at Phantom Dark Dave. We are on Facebook and Horror Mino as well. You can email us at blackcatpodcast@gmail.com. That's just a general email that will get to any of us, or you can, like I said, you can email Dakota directly at daxshadowbane@gmail.com, and that's spelled DAKSHADOWBANE@gmail.com. And our website is www.blackcatshadow.com, where you can find all of our past episodes.
Yeah. So by the time this episode comes out, we are actually hoping to have our trailer for Jesse's Dreams out. I met with Hayden the other day, and we talked about some interesting stuff about the movie and the trailer, how we're gonna roll with it, and just as kind of like a little cool thing for you guys, we're starting this trailer out kind of 50s noir type thing. This black and white, all happiness, and it kind of all turns to shit. But you guys, there will be a crowdfunding website up for our funding for the film. We're wanting to try to get a little bit of money, that way we can actually have a really good production. We're wanting to make this really good for you guys. This isn't for me. This is for the fans of the podcast, and for any kind of fan of horror, and for psychological horror specifically. So just be looking for that website, for that link. I'll be posting on all over Facebook, Horror Mino, and it'll probably pop up on Twitter once or twice.
Cool, yeah, we'll definitely be watching for that. So remember, guys, to take a closer look at the world around you, and you might just find that it is stranger and more mysterious than you thought, especially in the Black Cat Shadow.